Good morning to you. My name is Ken Tracy, and I have a morning talk show I do every morning here on YouTube where I go live, and it's called Coffee with Ken. And I talk about life and life experiences and kind of my journey down the path that is life. During my journey down the path that is life, I went to the University of Illinois. I graduated with a degree in finance. I became a stockbroker right out of school and did that for 10 years. After that, I kind of bounced around and did a few different things for a few years, but knew I wanted to start my own business, and I became a realtor in 2005. Did that for 17 years, enjoyed aspects of it, didn't like other aspects of it too much. But anyway, did it 17 years and did fairly okay. I learned a ton about it. Uh, got, as an old realtor, when I first started the business, said the disappointments outweigh the appointments because a lot of times you'll get knocked down and beaten down. And I mean, I cried on that job more often than I care to think about. But anyway, I learned a lot and gained a lot of experience. And I've always been curious about the markets, whether they're the stock markets or the real estate markets or the futures markets or what have you. I'm a capitalist by nature, and I've always believed. I'm going to try moving my thing over a little bit, change the lighting a little bit. That looks better. Uh, Capitalist by nature and believe in free markets and supply and demand and economics and how they work. And I'm kind of fascinated with it as well. So my thought was this morning, I did my show. I was sitting here drinking some coffee, editing some videos, and I opened up the CNBC app on my phone and I was flipping through, and a story jumped out at me that I kind of was curious about. And the title of the story was Home Sales Drop Sharply as Prices Hit an All-Time High for January. I opened up the article, started reading, and was kind of curious about what the data showed and what my thoughts were on the data. And I got to wondering, because I had a viewer this morning saying he's always interested in my opinion on the markets. And I don't know if many people are, but I certainly have opinions on a wide range of topics. And honestly, with a degree in finance, 10 years as a stockbroker, and 17 years as a realtor, uh, I'd say I have a lot of experience in the markets and a lot of knowledge in the markets, and maybe a voice to be able to share some thoughts on the markets from time to time, and a passion for it. Passion for what's going on in the world, or what's going on, at least as far as the markets go, and an ability to tell a story. So while I was sitting there reading this story, I'm going, hey, I'm fascinated about this story. I wonder if anybody else wants my interpretation of the data or the story or the news of the day. And honestly, it got me thinking that I could do like a market wrap at 3:30 every day, or a market update at 1 o'clock. And honestly, it got my mind going, and it got me really excited about the possibilities of not only Coffee with Ken, but this format going live on YouTube, uh, sharing um, my experiences, maybe in a more professional way than I normally do, because normally I just talk about life. And I'll have people asking me, "Hey, what's the prettiest city you've ever been to?" And or how does it feel to be twice divorced or be starting over at 56? And most of those are all important topics, but I almost felt like I was leaving a lot in the tank in terms of my knowledge, if you will, or my thoughts, if you will, by not focusing on the markets from time to time. And so today, when I opened up the CNBC app and saw the headline story was home sales drop sharply as prices hit an all-time high for January, uh, it kind of got me thinking, and kind of got me inspired, and kind of got me excited to hop on and talk live with you for however long it takes about various topics that come up. Maybe specifically the markets, maybe the stock market, maybe interest rates, maybe home sales markets. Um, but either way, uh, kind of got me excited. And I'll tell you what, life's a hell of a lot more fun when you're excited about something. And just reading this report and deciding that I wanted to share my thoughts with you today, got me excited. So I'm going to start again. I'm going to read this. If any thoughts come to my mind, if you don't like it, change the channel. There's plenty of other content to watch, but I'm going to read this. Hello, John. You inspired me today, John. John is here. John is the one that inspired me. John said he likes to hear my market thoughts from time to time. And John, you inspired me today to go live and do kind of a real estate update because I was on the CNBC app and I saw a title of an article and I said, hell, I want to read this. Maybe somebody wants to listen to me read it and interpret what I'm reading. I don't have all the answers, but I certainly have thoughts. And I think if we can share our thoughts in a friendly way, maybe we can all learn something. So, that's what I'm going to do. Again, the title of the article that started this was Home Sales Drop Sharply as Prices Hit an All-Time High for January. That jumps out to me for two reasons, I guess, or one big reason. Usually when I hear prices are hitting an all-time high, in my mind, I'm expecting a lot of transactions, a buying frenzy, if you will, and people buying up whatever asset we're talking about. But that clearly is not happening in the world today. Prices are hitting an all-time high while volume is dropping. And that is just so weird to me because, I'm not an economist, but I believe in supply and demand. And I believe that the charts or the lines that are supply and demand are supposed to hit and supposed to determine a fair value. But for some reason in the real estate market, they haven't been touching. And pricing's been weird and volume's been declining while prices go up. And I've talked about it a lot on my show. At some point, something's got to give. And all the people that are living in their parents' basements or living in a hotel or living in their car or sharing, doing community living, and maybe that it won't change. Maybe it won't change. Maybe the world's changed or maybe America's changed. And we are okay cutting back and not chasing the American dream and not living on our own home and okay living in our parents' basement or sharing a house with a buddy or whatever, living in our car. Maybe that's what's changed, but something has changed in the real estate market and in markets as a whole. Cruella DeVille said, reminiscent of 2009, I would disagree because 2009 was a time also of low volume, but dropping prices because the whole mortgage scam that it was, Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers evaporating in front of our eyes. Prices were dropping in 2008, 2009, 2010. That was right after I got in the business. And I'll tell you what, it was a hard time to get started because I never sold a home. I didn't have anyone ever buy a home and be up on it. They were all down on it immediately. And I'm going, hey, it's a great time to buy. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, if you buy, it's going to be cheaper in 2 months. That was a hard time to create demand. Honestly, 2009. But I appreciate that. And I didn't mean to, there's similarities to 2009 and the volume's drying up. But prices were dropping back then and they're going through the roof right now. Okay, Nikki from Spain said house prices are crazy in the UK too and not so in Spain. Lucky you. But anyway, I'm going to keep reading this. If you guys want to watch, do. And if you don't, don't. So I'm going to keep reading. First line is sales of previously owned homes fell 4.9% in January from the prior month, according to the National Association of Realtors. That is what it is. But again, volume's dropping. There were 1.18 million homes for sale at the end of January, an increase of 3.5% from December and 17% higher from a year ago, last January 2024. I'll tell you what, if I'm looking at buying a home and I'm a guy that's in a hotel room right now, and for those that have watched my show, you followed my story, a little bit about it. I'd love to buy a home someday. And as a guy who might consider himself a potential future home buyer, seeing that the inventory of homes on the market is going up 3.5% month over month, but 17% higher year over year, tells me the prices are probably going to come down. unless something changes. Unless something changes. You got more homes sitting on the market for longer, prices are going to have to come down. The median price of a home sold in January was 396,000, up 4.8% from the year before, and the highest price ever for the month of January. Again, what jumps out at me there is yes, prices are still going up while volume is going down. And I think at a healthy market, you're going to see volume and prices rising. But in a weird, screwed up, broken market where people can't afford to buy homes, and the only reason they're going up is an amazing lack of inventory, possibly combined with corporations coming in and buying single family homes and multiple family homes. But something's changed. Something's changed. And again, I thought it interesting. So that's what I'm doing here today, talking about it. The U.S. housing market continues to weaken as potential buyers face stubbornly high mortgage rates, high prices, and limited supply of listings. While I agree that high mortgage rates, prices, and a limited supply of listings, yeah, that's true. But when they say stubbornly high mortgage rates, again, mortgage rates have been bouncing between roughly 6.5% and 7.5% for the last year or so. And yes, that's higher than it was 3-4 years ago when we had mortgage rates at 3%. But historically, mortgage rates between 6.5 and 7.5%. Mortgage rates, that's not a high historical mortgage rate. John says it doesn't help. BlackRock is coming in and buying all the houses for sale with cash. That's true. I don't know what Lily's saying. I do not know. But John, I agree. We have corporations coming up and buying homes when individuals like you and me can't afford to do it. Anyway, did I say this? Sales of previously owned homes fell 4.9% in January from the prior month. On a annualized basis, that's 4.08 million units. According to the National Association of Realtors, where I was a member of proudly for 17 years, analysts were expecting a 2.6% decline. So the decline was twice what analysts were expecting. I'll tell you what, analysts don't have a clue. Analysts don't have a clue. And what's funny is there's a guy that's coming in this story that gets a lot of press. His name's Lawrence Yun. I bet he went to Harvard. He's a big dude. He wears glasses. He looks really smart. And the National Association of Realtors has hired him and probably pays him a ridiculous amount of money to say a lot of nothing about the housing market. And comes out and talks about mortgage rates and inventory and the exact same thing that I'm talking about today, yet he's probably paid $20 million a year by the National Association of Realtors. So anyway, sales were 2% higher than January 2024, but still are running at a roughly 15-year low. Again, it's nice that volume was a little higher than last year, but still pathetically low. If you're a realtor right now, as I was leaving the business, a lot of people told me, oh, it'd be a silly time. Homes are flying off the shelf. They're selling so quick. People don't get it, that we don't get paid how quickly. We get paid on volume. And if there are no homes for sale, it's really hard as a realtor to sell homes. Do you know what I mean? If there's no homes for sale, it's hard to sell homes. And I can't imagine how frustrating it is right now to be working with a buyer and showing around a young couple. I'm picturing a pregnant woman and a young man looking for their first home, and they've got a tight budget. They're getting the down payment from their parents or whatever, and showing them homes that they're dreaming about buying, and they're bidding as much as they can, but they're consistently getting overbid on every home they look at. And just the feeling, because I think I'm empathic that way. I feel their hurts and their loss along with them. And I think that would be so frustrating right now to be showing buyers, putting in good bids and being outbid consistently by cash offers or corporations buying up the homes or what have you. Running at a 15-year low. The REIT is based on closings. So contracts likely signed in November and December when mortgage rates came down from 7% to the 6% range. They're saying mortgage rates have dropped a little bit over the last couple months, uh, but it's not helping. It's not helping. Let me see, where are we? Mortgage rates have refused to budge for several months despite multiple rounds of short term interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve, said Lawrence Yun. That's the guy I was talking about. The guy that is paid a lot, but really doesn't say anything. Chief economist of the NAR. When combined with elevated home prices, housing affordability remains a major challenge. Basically, people can't afford to buy homes. And he's surprised that mortgage rates have remained high despite the Fed cutting interest rates. I'm not, because I think the Fed's going to do what the Fed's going to do. But ultimately, interest rates, like everything else in terms of pricing, are set by supply and demand. Are set by supply and demand. And when supply and demand hit, that's where the interest rates are going to be, the price of the home's going to be, the price of Bitcoin, John, is going to be, and the price of the stocks that you're considering buying are going to be. Let's see. There were 1.18 million homes for sale at the end of January, an increase of 3.5% from December and 17% up from January 2024. Again, great news if you're thinking about buying a home, but I wouldn't hop in today, honestly, because this is kind of the first we're seeing that inventory in homes is on the rise. And usually, changes in momentum aren't short. Usually, when we see things starting to turn, you could go 18 months, 24 months, 36 months of a period of changing markets. Somebody brought up earlier how reminiscent of 2009. I'll tell you what, the trouble happened in 2008, but the housing market struggled from '08, '09, 10, 11, and 12, and didn't really start rebounding for another 5 years. Prices were dropping for several years. So it's great we're seeing inventory go up. I would expect we are going to see um, inventory continue to rise. And if you're like me and driving around the western suburbs of Chicago or here in Wisconsin, and 10 years ago when you were driving down the same streets, you'd see 2 or 3 home sale signs on every street. And now you don't see any in a whole neighborhood. Things have changed a lot. And I would guess things are going to continue to change a lot. The average home for sale last month spent 41 days on the market. That is longest since January 2020, which was pre-COVID. Yeah, it doesn't shock me. Again, we're seeing inventory go up. Homes aren't closing quite as quickly. I hear there's spots in the country. I hear there's spots in the country where homes are sitting on the market. I had a friend down in Florida I was talking to, and she was saying that homes are sitting on the market. That's still not the case here in the Midwest. And I'd like to see that change. I'd like to, it feels good for me. I'm a consumer. I'm a guy that dreams of buying a home. When I see a home come on the market, I go, hey, that's a neat one. And it's under contract the next day. That's frustrating. So tight supply continues to pressure prices. The median price of a home sold in January was $396,900, up 4.8% from the year before, and the highest price ever for the month of January. All 4 regions tracked by the NAR saw price gains, so the price is still going up countrywide. About 15% of the homes sold above list price, virtually unchanged from 16% in the previous month in the earlier year period. More housing supply. Again, Lawrence Yun. More housing supply allows strongly qualified buyers to enter the market, Yun said. But for many consumers, both increased inventory and lower mortgage rates are necessary for them to purchase a different home or become first-time homeowners. Again, there's a lot of people out there that might own a house, let's say priced at 800 grand, and their kids are off to school and they want to downsize. But they're locked in on their 800 grand home at maybe a 3% interest rate, let's say. And if they were to buy a smaller home, it might be costing $600,000, and they might pay 6.5% interest rate, and their payments might work out to be the same. And again, I think something's broken in the housing market. All cash offers made up 29% of sales, which is historically high, but down from 32% the year before. First time buyers are still struggling, accounting for 28% of sales. That share is unchanged from a year ago, but is well below historical averages of about 40%. Again, first time home buyers make up 28% of the sales, which is significantly down from historical averages. In the last couple of years, I was a realtor. I remember working with young couples and uh, individuals looking to buy their first home, be it a condo or a little townhome or maybe a duplex or a tiny little single family, and start their uh, lives together. And they weren't able to buy a home then, and they've started their lives under different situations than they anticipated. They've gotten married, they've had the kids, they're still living at their in laws or they're renting a home or what have you. But things have changed a whole heck of a lot in the last 5 or 10 years. Home sales are faring significantly better at higher price points and falling at lower price points. Um, I don't know what that means. For example, sales of a home price between 100,000 and 250,000 dropped year over year, while home price over a million rose nearly 27% from the year before. And I think that could be a sign of, I hate to say it because again, I'm a capitalist, but the rich are getting richer. And you see the stock market at all time highs. You see, uh, I think when food prices, for instance, or gas price, and again, I don't call me a liberal, but when you see food prices go up and gas prices go up, and the must have things that we need to live every day go up, it significantly affects the lower income people and the lower wealth people over the higher wealth people. And I think maybe that's part of it. Uh, Basically, people, with huge money have more money than ever. Elon Musk is worth who knows how much, and the richest of the rich are richer than they've ever been. But I think a lot of us are struggling, and we're seeing, I hate to say, uh, a uh, shrinking of the middle class. Yeah. And the cause of that, I'm not sure. But I think that might happen when you disincentivize the world from going to work and the government starts sending out checks and we all start waiting for the government to send us 5 grand or $600 like they did a few years ago. And we're more reliant on the government. I think that makes our overall wealth uh, drop. But anyway, realtors are reporting that buyer traffic in January was weak. Doesn't surprise me at all. When I was in real estate, we used to say the real estate market really got going after the Super Bowl because I think a lot of people would wait till February to start their home search. And although I'm not a realtor anymore, I'm still my ears on the ground. I'm listening to the wind, if you will, and listening to people and hearing so few people talking about buying and selling homes right now. And I don't know if you guys would agree with that. Uh, and yeah, I was a realtor, but 8, 10 years ago, everybody, any party I went to, everyone was talking about buying and selling homes. And now, and I'm of an age, I'm 56. Most of my friends are of the age where they should be downsizing or want to be downsizing or retiring or moving to Florida or moving to warmer weather. And I think the market is broken right now. And I think things are going to need to change. And it's going to be a fascinating uh, next year and then some for the world, for the real estate market, probably for the stock market, maybe even for Bitcoin. And those are just a few thoughts I have on the real estate market. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I might sign off in a minute. Again, I have a lot of fun doing this. I have great passion for markets and the economy, and I have lots of thoughts. Not sure they're all right, or I have a clue. I might be like Lawrence Yun, except underpaid, and might not know what I'm talking about, but I think I might. And thought you might want one guy's perspective. So I have a lot of fun doing this. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. My audience grows a little bit every day, and I go live every morning for Coffee with Ken. Um, I might hop on a little more and give market updates, or if a story jumps out at me that I think I can talk about, um, whether it's a world event or a political event or a market event or just something I want to talk about, I might uh, hop on and uh, share some thoughts, even if it's just John and I talking. Mrs. Barbara Simmons, what did they call the real estate bust of '08? What did they call it? What did they call it? The mortgage? I don't know. What did they call it? I forget. It was triggered by Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns and every other company. The bailouts. What did they call it? The Big Short. Was there an underlying term? Maybe there wasn't. Maybe it didn't have a name. But either way, yeah, no, maybe Barbara, it didn't have a name, but it was such a historical time. And again, I remember hearing what was happening and being a new realtor, kind of all ready to go. And all of a sudden, home prices started dropping like a rock. And yeah. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for joining today. I'll do this more often. I have a lot of fun doing it. Gonna have to buy some white shirts, some more white shirts, because I wanted to dress up for you and look a little bit more professional for you today. But I thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. If you haven't, please subscribe to my show. I'm gonna do a lot of lives. I post a lot of videos. And have a lot of fun doing it. So thank you so much for joining. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful morning. I hope you're feeling good, loving yourself, forgiving yourself. And as always, I hope to talk to you soon.